Hey, what is up, EAE fam? It's your boy AB back with another DIY Wednesday video. And as you can see from the start of the video, we had a little bit of an issue with the E92 M3 because we got a warning light for this tire back here being low. With that said, we're going to talk about some of the top must-have, non-negotiable tools that you should have in your car at all times in the event of an emergency. So let's get into this video right after this. Here is one of those things that is definitely a non-negotiable, especially if you have E92 M3. You are going to want to have some oil. Especially this one because it's formulated a 10W60. Other than BMW and online, you're not going to find this weight oil in an auto parts store. For the most part, Vans actually carries, I want to say, a Castrol Tech European race oil that is 10W60. It's definitely a must-have because that is not a formulated oil that everyone is going to carry. So in the sense, if you have an E92 M3 or a car that has a formulated oil that you're not going to find, I would say and highly suggest, highly recommend that you keep a liter or quart of it in the car, just in case, you know, you go on a long road trip and you burn some oil, because that has happened in here, going to the Dallas events, to St. Louis and some of the other places. On road trips, we end up needing to put some oil in. We're going to go right into the trunk that I have open right now. Don't worry about the mess because for the camera, I'm not going to do anything different than what's already here and be able to access to. So as we mentioned, or as you saw earlier, this tire needed air in it. So we've gotten that taken care of. However, in the event that I was on the highway and there's a nice little distance between the next rest stop or the next gas station that I would have gotten air, and you've probably been there too, where you've gotten to a gas station and either the air pump's not working properly, whether that's the pump itself or maybe even the nozzle on it is not working properly, and you can't measure or gauge the amount of air that's in there. So let me just go straight to the first thing I had. The first thing that I had in my hand was this gauge that I was able to check to see what the amount of air that was in there. And as for these, you just pick that up at your local auto parts store or Walmart or wherever. It's only going to cost you a couple of bucks at the most. Now on to the next thing here. This particular one is a Husky inflator, and here's the port where it will plug into the cigarette lighter adapter, and there is the fitting for your valve stem that you're going to place that on. And real simply, right up top here, it measures out what your PSI is as it's pumping air into it. So you go off that, real simple on pretty much using a tire inflator, but that is a must have in your car. Real simply, number 3 is to have some light. All right, flashlight. This is something I use under the hood for the most part when I'm doing my DIYs. So in case you're having some issue under the hood, you've got a magnetic light that you can put on the frame, on the hood or whatnot. Well, maybe not my hood because it's aluminum, but you're able to put it somewhere that's metal and it will stick to it so that you can place the light, point the light where you want it. And for here, of course, a decent size flashlight. I like this because honestly, I can just, if I need to work with my hands and have the light, and and maybe I got to get into a different angle, ends up being almost like pen light size. Number 4 is going to be an emergency kit. So in your emergency kit, you're going to have jumper cables in case you need a jump, if your battery is low. Now mind you, In my case, in a lot of cases, the battery is in the rear. So if you're ever in need of a jump, so you have jump posts, you've got a positive post right here, all right, and then you've got a negative post right here. This one happens to have an emergency help card if you're actually in distress and need some help. We also have flares. Okay, these are emergency flares. Do I have an expiration date? Say when it's manufactured. There is a recommended replacement of about, on this one is of about 3 years. So definitely check yours if you got flares and see if it is time to replace them. And on to number 5. Number 5 is actually not in the trunk. It is something that you should carry with you because you are required to have insurance on your vehicle, and that is roadside assistance. If you're like me or was like me when I was younger, I thought that was a waste of time. I could fix my own car, whatever the thought process is behind that. But let me just say this. If you own something like an E92 M3 that does not, I repeat, does not have a spare tire, if you have an issue with the tire, you're going to have to get some service to get you towed out of there. So either a friend with a truck and a trailer, or you just call them up, they come out, and depending on how they have it set up, they tow it to the nearest shop, or in my case, I've always tried my best to have them to send it or bring it right here to the house so that I can figure out on my own what is going on with the car, and if need be, if I can get it back up and running, get it to one of my shops. Now, I know I didn't do this in any particular order, but I can definitely tell you this is probably, other than having everything else, is probably the most important thing to have, and that is a set of tools. These are just your standard socket and wrench set, and this one just happens to have 123 pieces, and yeah, that is a must have, because typically, and that one's actually in the trunk already attached to an extension, and typically you can solve most issues with just having just a simple hand tools as in a kit. Bonus for you, because I was in here in the emergency kit and found this, make sure you have an owner's manual. If it's not one that came with the car, see if you can order one, whether it's a digital copy or order one from BMW or whomever your vehicle make is. Let me tell you real simply, here's what ended up happening for us. Last winter, had just watched the X5, and if you don't know, when you lock the car, that stem right there comes out and it locks this door from, it locks and keeps this door from being open. Now, of course, when you unlock it, it goes back in. So with that said, I just watched the X5, it dropped, you know, the temperature really dropped the next day, and I went to put gas in that morning, couldn't get into the gas door. So what did I end up doing? I went right to, I knew that there was some kind of release, some kind of latch or something, emergency release for it. So I went into the owner's manual, checked it out, it showed me where it was. I pulled it, and then the door pretty much came right open. I was able to flip it right open. So something like that, your owner's manual will come in handy. You think it won't, you think it's just some useless literature. It is very handy. It's definitely a point of reference to go to when you potentially have an issue with your car. So owner's manual is definitely one of those bonuses that I would say you have to have. A second bonus would be a multimeter. All right, I have yet to have to use this, but it's something I've had since I've had the car, and I just keep it in here. Of course, it's getting beat up from just moving other things in and out, but having that can be a lifesaver if I run into an electrical issue and I don't have anything to read the codes with. And so yeah, definitely have a multimeter. I think that is a definite bonus to have in your car. Not required, but I think it's definitely a bonus to have in your car. And lastly, for what I feel is a must-have in your car is going to be some type of ECU scan tool. So in this case, this is an OBD II dongle that goes into the OBD II port. If you haven't seen this already, this is what it looks like. All right, very simply, it goes into the OBD II port in the car, and with the app Beamer Link, I'm able to read out what is going on in the car. If I'm throwing codes, a lot of times I'm able to read reports, whether it's throwing a check engine light or or CEL at all. Sometimes you have issues and you don't get a check engine light. So with that said, it's able to go in to the ECU, to the computer, read values, and let you see what's going on with the car and where you need to make some adjustments. Just simply, you can go right down into the description right now, click the link, it'll take you over to Amazon so that you can get yours. Of course, it is an affiliate link that helps out the channel so that I can bring these type of videos to you so that you know what you should have in your car and ready to go upon needing it for an emergency. All right, guys, that is it. That's all I've got. But stay tuned for the next DIY Wednesday, where we're going to talk more about what are some of the top must-have tools if you're going to be a DIYer on your automobile. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for checking in with us. As always, have fun turning a wrench on your car.